That's why I took the time to talk to some of you guys, because I want to know what's bothering you, and I want to know what I could do as your future representative to fix them. So let's take a look at some of those moments now. So, Savannah, tell me, what is your experience with CAPS at this school? How do you feel about it?
So I've been a patient of CAPS. I suffered from a lot of different mental illness issues my freshman year and even my current year as a sophomore. I had a very close death in the family my freshman year, and I didn't take care of myself and I didn't address it for all summer. And so when I came back to campus this past fall, I was in a really rough shape with COVID on top of all of it. And so I reached out to CAPS, and it was exuberantly difficult to start in order to get an appointment. But then I did have one or two appointments, but after I missed the third one because of personal family issues, I never had anybody ever reach out after. I could never reschedule an appointment without having to jump through the countless hoops that I already had before. And at that point, my mental illness was making it hard enough to get up in the morning, let alone have to jump through all these additional hoops to reach out for help.
Wow, so you've had so many, just sounds like poor experiences in relation to CAPS. In fact, the things that you mentioned to me, I'm thinking as your representative, just ideas that we could improve upon. Perhaps we can advocate for more things like better scheduling and access to scheduling for appointments, so it's not so awkward and disjointed. We could even talk about how we can make communication between CAPS and students at the school more effective and more efficient. That way, so when you have your appointment, you get right to it and you don't have to dilly-dally and wait for them to get started. And finally, I think something what you said that I would also agree with, and I've heard from numerous students at this campus, is that access to counselors themselves has been very limited, which seems strange because after all, we go to a really nice school, and it seems like we should have access to these mental health services. So that's why, as your representative, I'm going to take these things, and if I am elected, I'll do all I can to implement some of these changes that we've established. Thank you. Well, hi Layla. So could you tell me very briefly, what does recycling mean to you on Mercer's campus? How do you feel about it?
I mean, the only thing I've noticed that Mercer does do for recycling is the few bins that they have outside the apartments. But to do with like food, I know it's COVID right now, so they're trying to like make it safer for us to use. But like in the CAF, it's just so many plastic plates after, and everyone's just throwing everything away. And I think coming from Europe, it's just always a shock. And 3 years later, I mean, I've become one of the just finding convenient ways to get rid of dishes. So I think that's a huge problem with the CAF, and just not enough disposable recycling bins outside.
Okay, Layla, so I really like the points that you just made. In fact, I've heard so many other students talk to me about similar things. So I'm wondering what you think about these few solutions that me and some of my other constituents have been considering. So obviously, we do have limited access to recycling on this campus for various reasons. So what would you think about, say, more bins, better labeling? So at least maybe if you did feel bad about throwing away this plastic cup, there was easy access to a nearby bin as an alternative solution to just throwing it away. How does that sound?
So I think that your solution is basically the biggest one that you could create, the simplest and most effective one that you can create for recycling on campus, because I think a lot of the times things aren't marked, or maybe there might even be more places, but it's just not marked well enough. And so yeah, just more easily accessible, like you said. More bins everywhere.
More. Hello, my name's Jacob, and I'm running to be your representative because I want to improve access to food on campus for people with dietary restrictions or food allergies. I know it's really hard for vegetarians and vegans to get options sometimes. I know from your experience, you have experience with this, so can you briefly tell me about some of the challenges you've faced with Mercer's dining system?
It's a really good question, actually. So, I'm currently a vegetarian. I was an avid vegetarian. When I first got to campus, I ate meat and whatever else that was offered. But since trying to better my health, I wanted to switch to a more plant-based diet. And I noticed it was kind of difficult to do that on campus, mainly because the plant-based options just weren't really sufficient. I know that the CAF does have a few options in the whole vegan vegetarian corner, but even on a good day, it's not really that good. As much as I love tofu unseasoned, I'm not really sure if that's a viable solution for every single meal. So I know with the fast food options on campus, like Witch and Panda, they do have some more accessible plant-based options, but at the same time, they do charge a premium. I know at Witch they charge a premium for the black bean patties, which is kind of annoying because if I have meal swipes but I don't have $9, then I'd have to, use up my actual money to pay for those. And then at Panda, there's a couple options, and it is more available because the fast food is open longer on the weekends, but it's very, very minimal. It would be nice to see a wider variety of cheaper or same price options for plant-based or other dietary restriction diets.
So, as your representative, I'm going to do all that I can to try to make these changes happen that we've discussed. So basically what I want to do, I want to help to allocate more money to Mercer's food budget. I want to try to influence the school to allow for more meal plan flexibility for underclassmen and upperclassmen so that they have the options to eat off campus or go to the grocery store more if they want to. And finally, I would like to advocate for more options generally on campus for people with these dietary restrictions or that would just prefer more healthy eating options in general. So I really appreciate you coming out today. I'm listening to you, I hear you, and I'm going to do all I can to make it happen.